We are called a narcissistic generation. We're told that technology and social media are giving us an inflated sense of self. But most of us don't walk around feeling that we're all that great. In fact, there's one underlying emotion that overwhelmingly shapes our self-image and influences our behaviour, and that is insecurity. If you could enter the minds of people around you, even the narcissistic ones, you're likely to encounter ceaseless waves of insecurity. If you have insecurities and want to understand how to help people and how to help yourself, then stay tuned. What is going on, guys? In this episode, I'll be talking about insecurities and my top tips on how to help. If you're new to the channel, then please hit the subscribe button if you like personal development, and if at any point you like what you see, give it a like. A recent survey found that 60% of women experience hurtful, self-critical thoughts on a weekly basis. In their research, father and daughter psychologists Dr. Robert and Lisa Firestone used an assessment tool known as the Firestone Assessment for self-destructive thoughts to evaluate people's self-attacks, or as maybe what we call ourselves, our inner critical voices. What they found is the most common self-critical thought people have toward themselves is that they are different. Not in a positive sense, but in some negative, alienating way. And whether our self-esteem is high or low, one thing is clear: we are a generation that compares, evaluates and judges ourselves with great scrutiny. By understanding where this insecurity comes from and finding why we are driven to put ourselves down can then help us to challenge and overcome that destructive inner critic that limits our lives. Why am I so insecure? What causes it? There is an internal dialogue that accompanies our feelings of insecurity. This is called the critical inner voice. The critical inner voice is formed out of painful early life experiences in which we witnessed or experienced hurtful attitudes towards us or those close to us. And as we grow up, we unconsciously adopt and integrate this pattern of destructive thoughts toward ourselves and others. So what events or attitudes shape this inner critic? The experiences we have with our influential early caretakers can be at the root of our insecurity as adults. Imagine a child being yelled at by a parent saying something like, "You're spaced out, you can't figure out anything." But then imagine the negative comments and attitudes parents express towards themselves. "I look terrible in this, I'm so fat." These attitudes don't even have to be verbalised to influence the child. Now, a parent's absence can leave children feeling insecure and believing there is something fundamentally wrong with them. An intrusive parent can cause children to become introverted or self-reliant in ways that make them feel insecure or untrusting of others. Studies have even shown that exaggerated praise can be damaging to a child's self-esteem. And the reason this is that children must feel seen for who they are in order to feel secure. A lot of our issues with insecurity can come from early attachment. Dr. Daniel Siegel, author of Parenting from the Inside Out, says that the key to a healthy attachment is the 4 S's: feeling safe, seen, soothed and secure. And whether children are being shamed or praised, they are most likely not feeling seen by the parent for who they really are. They may start to feel insecurity and lose a sense of their actual abilities. A healthy attitude for parents to maintain is to see themselves and their children realistically and to treat them with acceptance and compassion. The best way a parent can support their children is to allow them to find something that is unique to them, something that lights up and that they will work to achieve. And this activity must appeal to the child's interest, not the parents'. As author and civil rights leader Howard Thurman famously said, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. As the child pursues whatever interest makes them come alive, the parent should offer support and acknowledgement for the effort involved, as opposed to focusing too much on the result. It's the difference between saying, "What a stunning picture, you are the best artist I've ever seen," and saying, "I love the way you used so many colours. It's awesome that you worked so hard on this. What gave you that idea?" This practice helps a child establish a sense of self-worth. Now you might be thinking, well, where is this all going? We're talking more about childhood here and parenting. Well, the reason I'm sharing this is because as I'm explaining, a lot of this is born from being a child. So if you are a parent, then these are some of the things you'd need to take into consideration to support your child growing up. Also, if you're somebody who you can think back and reflect on some of your times as a child now, as an adult, and you're thinking, actually, yeah, this kind of makes sense. But you have to kind of understand this portion first before you can really start to evolve and support yourself in growing and getting rid of any insecurities that you might have. That's the reason I'm giving you this backstory, really, into how this starts and how it evolves. So let's talk about now then the effect of insecurity. It's clear that there are many things that shape our critical inner voice, from negative attitudes directed towards us to attitudes our parents had towards themselves. As we get older, we internalize these points of view as our own. We keep these attitudes alive by believing in our insecurities as we go along life. Okay, so I'm now going to just quickly go through some of the most common critical inner voice statements that people experience throughout their day. And I'm going to say it as if it's me actually saying it to myself. And there's a reason for that, I'll tell you in a minute. I'm stupid. I'm unattractive. I never get anything right. I'm not like other people. I am a failure. I'm fat. I'm such a loser. I'll never make friends. No one will ever love me. I will never be able to quit drinking and smoking. I'll never accomplish anything. What's the point in even trying? Just saying them doesn't feel very nice. And even when I wrote this, writing them out and then reading them back over, it's just not very nice. Imagine saying that to yourself every single day, multiple times a day now. You might be somebody who does, but just think about it. Have a bit of a moment now just to reflect on that. Imagine saying those to yourself every single day, and multiple times in a day, every week, every month, years, saying those things. You're gonna just end up believing that shit. It's like a mean coach. This voice tends to get louder as we get closer to our goals. You're gonna screw up any minute now. Everyone will realise what a failure you are. Just quit before it's too late. Oftentimes we react to these thoughts before we even realise we are having them. We may grow shy at a party, pull back from a relationship, project these attacks onto the people around us, or act out toward a friend, a partner, or a child. Just imagine what life would be like if you didn't hear any of these horrible thoughts in your head. Imagine what reality might actually look like if you could live free of this prescribed insecurity. So, how can we overcome insecurity? Well, once we have a better sense of where our insecurity comes from and the profound influence it can have on our lives, we can begin to challenge it. We can start by interrupting the critical inner voice process through something called voice therapy. And this is an approach developed by Dr. Robert Firestone to help people overcome their critical inner voice. And there are 5 important steps to this process. The first step of voice therapy involves vocalizing your self-critical thoughts in second person. You can also write down these thoughts. Instead of writing, "I am so stupid, what is the matter with me, I'll never be successful," you would write, "You are so stupid, you will never be successful." This process helps you to separate from these vicious attacks by seeing them as an external enemy instead of your real point of view. This process can also be an emotional one, as saying these statements can bring up underlying feelings from the past. Instead of it just being a thought in the head, you're writing it down and you're actually focusing on it. So in the second step, you can start to think and talk about the insights and reactions you have to exposing these mean thoughts. Do they remind you of anyone or anything from your past? It can be helpful to uncover the relationship between these voice attacks and the early life experiences that helped shape them. Step 3, which is where people often struggle with, because it involves standing up to long-held beliefs and insecurities about oneself. You'll answer back to your voice attacks, expressing your real point of view. And you can write down rational and realistic statements about how you really are. And respond to your attacks the way you would to a friend who was saying these things about him or her, with compassion and kindness. And then step 4, voice therapy, start to make a connection between how the voice attacks are influencing your present day behaviours. How do they affect you at work, with your partner, as a parent, in your personal ambitions? Now, do they undermine you? What events trigger the insecurity? In what areas is this insecurity most influential? And then 5, the final one, involves making a plan to change these behaviours. So if insecurity is keeping you from asking someone on a date or going after a promotion, it's time to do the actions anyway. If you're indulging in self-hating thoughts that encourage you to engage in self-destructive behaviours, it's time to interrupt these behaviours and unleash the real you. And this process is not easy. With change always comes anxiety. These defences and critical inner voices have been with you your whole life, and they can feel uncomfortable to challenge. When you do change, expect the voices to get louder. Your insecurities aren't likely to just vanish overnight, but slowly, through perseverance, they will start to weaken. Whenever you notice an attack come up, stand up to it and don't indulge in its directives. If you want to be healthy, and don't let it lure you to avoid exercise. If you want to get closer to your partner, don't listen when it tells you to hold back on your affections. For anyone who is suffering from insecurities, work on them to help yourself. But always remember this, it's invisible. You figure everyone can see that you're insecure, and that actually makes you feel more insecure. But here's the wonderful truth. The light has gone now and the ISO on my camera has gone down, so it looks really dark. Hold on one second. But here's the wonderful truth. No one can see your insecurity. They are too worried about their own insecurity to notice yours. Even when I think the world can see me shake, when I get really nervous or uncertain, few people actually know. No one can see your insides but you. That's it for today, everyone. If you have enjoyed the content and haven't already, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, and while you're at it, you could give it a like. And if you would like to be notified of when new episodes are released, then please give the little notification bell a click. Probably too many likes in there, I think. This has been Richard Rosa. Peace out.